right, friends, it's time for me to react to more of your hot takes from Twitter. Hopefully this time you can provoke Reddit's rage. Hopefully you can shield me from the anger of Reddit mods who are trembling with rage that the man on the internet doesn't have the same opinion. Can you believe what Finn Mckenty said? He doesn't like the same band as I do. Oh, I hate him so much. He doesn't like the song that I liked when I was in high school. He's the worst. Ugh. Hopefully you'll be the target of their rage next time. Let's see. And also, this video is brought to you by Scooped Up, a 100% independent DIY pop punk band from New Haven, Connecticut. And if you are wondering what they sound like, this is Joyride. And this is Shoelace. And if you want to check out Scooped Up on YouTube or Spotify, there's links to both of those in the description of this video. Let's see the first one we have here. From Shy Guy Says, there's no such thing as guilty pleasure music. If you like it and it isn't hurting you or anyone else, then what do you have to be guilty about? You know, my first thought about this was, I agree. Why would you ever feel guilty about enjoying something, right? I mean, this idea has always been silly to me of like, I don't know, if you like it, why would you not listen to it, you know, or watch it or whatever? What's wrong with enjoying anything? Like what you like. That was my first thought. But then I thought about it a little bit more and I remembered that ska exists. And I said, you know what? I changed my mind. There are some things that you should feel bad for liking. Let me ask you this. For those of you who said there's no such thing as a guilty pleasure and that you're not ashamed of anything you like, how about this? How would you feel about it? Let's say you're at home one night, you're in your room, and normally your mom knocks before she comes in because, you know, who knows what you're doing in that room at night by yourself. This time, Mom didn't knock. Mom just barged right in. Mom walked in on you listening to ska. How would you feel? You'd be like, oh, no. Quickly, like, take some magazines and, like, you know, try to cover up what was, oh, no, Mom, what are you, I told you to knock. Listen, I don't know how this got on my phone. I was just researching some stuff from my homework. And I don't know what I clicked on, but somehow, like, this Real Big Fish video came up on my phone, and I don't know how it got here. I didn't know how to get it to go away. Yeah, I'd pull my pants down and pretend that I was masturbating instead. That's right. Oh, no, Mom, I was just trying to find some hentai to jerk off to, but I don't know. I pressed the wrong button, and somehow the ska video came up, but I meant to be jerking off to hentai, Mom. It's not what it looks like. Yeah, at first I was on the same page as you, but now I think I feel differently. I think there are some things that you should be ashamed of. Sorry, I know this is going to make some people mad, but, you know, grown men being into, you know, Funko Pops and collecting comic books and stuff like that, I think you should be ashamed of that. Grown men being into pro wrestling, you should be ashamed of that. Listen, if you still want to do it, that's fine. I'm not telling you to stop doing it. I'm just asking you to be ashamed of it when you do it. That's all. You don't have to stop doing it. All I'm asking is that you feel a profound, burning sense of shame and disappointment with yourself every time you do it. That's all. Next one from Mia. She says, every female-fronted band has the curse of being compared to Paramore. Now, at first I agreed with this one because literally every time I'm listening to a song on stream, it's always, you know, like, oh, this song sounds like Paramore, right? Always. So at first I thought, you know what? She's got a point. That is indeed the curse of every female band. But then I thought about it a little bit, and it's not actually quite true. It's either Paramore or Evanescence. It's one of the two. So if it's a metal band, they always get compared to Evanescence. If it's like an emo or pop punk or rock band, they always get Paramore, which I find pretty interesting because there aren't actually that many bands that sound like Paramore. And I don't get it because it's not like having a woman singing for the band is like some sort of a unique thing that like, oh, there's only two women in the entire genre. Like, I understand I don't know, like if there was a band that had a tuba and then you're like, oh, why does every other band with a tuba get compared to this tuba player? Well, I would understand that, but it's kind of getting to this idea, you know, that they talk about of how there can only be one. There can only be one woman in a genre. There can only be like one black guy in a genre. You know, like if your band is like metal, but there's a black guy that sings for it and like, oh, this reminds me of Seven Dust. Like just because there's like a black guy in the band, it reminds you of Seven Dust. Like, I don't get it. I think this is kind of like an unfortunate thing that we see of like just this idea that there can only be one. And not only can there only be one, that they always have to be compared to each other. The part of that that's unfortunate to me is that then you end up with things like these awards for like best female fronted band. And so the problem with that is that then it puts them off in their own little category as though bands with women in them are somehow different from other bands, right? Like Paramore is just a great band that writes great songs. It doesn't have anything to do with the fact that Haley is a female. These are just great songs, right? I think it's unfortunate when they get lumped into sort of their own category. It's like, oh, these are the awards for the girls, right? I think that's kind of the problem. It's taking away their accomplishments by categorizing. Yeah, that's what I think it is. How would it feel if you had like, you know, an award for like best black fronted band? You'd be like, really? Like we have a special award just for black people? It's kind of fucking weird. So yeah, that's sort of my objection is like, number one, I think it's just sloppy because people compare bands to Paramore that don't actually sound like Paramore. Number two, I think beyond that, it's just kind of, as they say these days, problematic to put, you know, women off in kind of their own special category. Not good for the genre, and just dumb. It bothers me. Next one we have here from Peter Pan Syndrome. My Chemical Romance is like Led Zeppelin, all the respect for what they did for the genre, no question, but are there more than a handful of songs that are actually any good? Well, listen, here's the thing. With a band like My Chemical Romance, they're so known for, you know, their hits, specifically like Welcome to the Black Parade. They're so known for this song that it's going to overshadow pretty much everything else that they've done. But that doesn't mean that the rest of their songs are bad. For sure, this is their most well-known song, but I actually like Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge better. I think that entire album is great. Yeah, Three Cheers was all bangers. I think it's a little unfair to call My Chemical Romance an overrated band or to like suggest that they only have like two good songs. I don't agree with that. Three Cheers is the better album. That album was all killer. I actually agree with that. You know, it's not like My Chemical Romance is a one-hit wonder or something like that. Like they have a definitive song that's definitely bigger than everything else. However, I don't think that makes them overrated. Yeah, I wouldn't say MCR is overrated because I never got into them. Could name you one, maybe two songs, and even I understand their importance, impact, and legacy in music. I think what it is just like they have one song that is so incredibly popular and influential that it overshadows the rest of them, but that doesn't make their other songs bad. So you could say they're a bit top heavy and I'd accept it. Yeah. Okay. I'd agree with that. Yeah. Top heavy would be an appropriate way to put it, but overrated, I'm not with it. Sunny says, innovation in music, at least currently, is dead. Nostalgia fuels every single music genre at the moment, whether it's rock, pop, or rap. Nothing new and exciting is happening right now. You know, I would have to agree with that. I definitely think it's worse in rock. I've talked about this a million times before, but you know, you look at all the rock festival lineups and it's like literally the Scorpions headlining festivals. And look, respect to the Scorpions, but the Scorpions started in the fucking 60s. Knocked Loose feels new and exciting. Well, for one, Knocked Loose is a 10-year-old band. Number two, I mean, I think they're cool, but they're not that different from like Disembodied or something like that. I think they're a great band, but I wouldn't say that they're particularly new. Now, pop and rap, I think, have been more innovative for a long time, but even that is changing now. For example, you know, there's so many songs now that are samples or interpolations of old songs. For example, one of the bigger songs from last year, Players by Coi Leray, is essentially an interpolation of the message by Grandmaster Flash from, you know, back in the 80s. I like this song, but it is essentially based on a sample from 40 years ago. I somewhat agree, but mostly disagree. A lot of people that say nothing new is happening aren't trying to look. There is a lot of new stuff going on right now. For sure. There is a lot of new stuff going on. But the question is it rising to the top? I don't think that it is. I think rap right now is in a very stagnant place. I think music in general, it is in a kind of a stagnant place. And I mean, it's the same thing with movies and TV shows too. Like we've seen all the sequels and reboots and stuff. And I think the reason why is because it is so hard to create a cultural phenomenon now that it's easier to reference something from the past than to create something new. Because you think about, like, look at Star Wars, right? Like Star Wars keeps referencing Obi-Wan, Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, Yoda. Like they keep referencing these same characters over and over and over and over again because it is so hard to create new characters now because, you know, the monoculture doesn't exist anymore. That if you want people to, you know, latch onto something as being relatable, you kind of have to go back to the past to find one of these touchstones that everybody knows about. I think this is true too. What can we do when everything has been done? I think that's true too, is just legitimately, there's not a lot of new ground to cover, right? I mean, like with movies and TV, like how many new stories are there to tell? Right? It's not like back in the 70s or the 80s or something like that when things were sanitized. So then in the 90s, when we just started having movies and TV and rap songs and stuff that were like explicit and shocking, like even that was new. It's like, oh, wow, finally people are making songs where they say fuck. Like finally, this is like some authentic music. I think now we've really kind of mined the depths of what can be done. And not to say that there's nothing new happening, but I think it's a lot harder to find something new. Yeah, same thing with video games. That's right. People just keep making sequel after sequel, you know, their annualized franchise. Yeah, of course there's new stuff that comes out in every kind of art, but I think it's increasingly hard to do something new because we've just done so much and there's no real economic incentive to do that because people prefer the familiar. You know, it's an overstatement to say that innovation is dead, I suppose. But I definitely feel like mainstream entertainment in general is definitely in a place that lacks innovation, in my opinion. The cultural zeitgeist was more centralized in the past. I feel like this, yes, for sure. The death of monoculture is a big part of it. So yeah, to say that innovation is dead is maybe an overstatement, but I definitely think that innovation in mainstream entertainment in general definitely feels a bit stale. I agree. The Sledge Lord says Finn Mckenty is just Anthony Fantano for middle-aged used to be emos. This could not be more wrong. I'm disappointed. I'm shocked. I'm offended. Finn Mckenty is Anthony Fantano for middle-aged former nu metalers. Come on. How dare you mischaracterize me and my audience? How dare you? Finn Mckenty is Anthony Fantano for people who think Mudvayne is the pinnacle of music. The kind of people who get angry if you suggest that System of a Down is anything but the most innovative, brilliant force in 2000s music. Just look at this. I'll give you some evidence here. I'll give you the receipts right here. Here's the receipts. Fantano doesn't make Wikipedia videos. No, that's true. Anthony is much more creative than I am. I have no good ideas. All I do is make Wikipedia summaries about other people's work. So he is much more clever than I am. But look, here's the proof, people. What alt genre has the best songs? Emo, nu metal, indie, pop punk. As you can see, nu metal is winning by a landslide. Emo is in third place, so you couldn't be more wrong. Finn Mckenty is just Anthony Fantano for 32-year-olds who think Mudvayne is the pinnacle of music. That's the truth. Bertman says country is good. That's his hot take. You know, a couple years ago, I was very into listening to country. You know, pop country, not the red dirt country, not the Sturgill Simpson, the hipster shit, none of that stuff. I was into pop country, you know, like this kind of stuff that wine moms listen to, right? This is the kind of stuff that I was into, the kind of stuff that the military wife who shops at Target and has the balayage hair, you know, with her like 3 kids named Jaden, Braden, and Caden would listen to. And I still love that stuff. Unfortunately, I feel like country has taken a turn for the worse in the past couple years because of people like Zach Bryan. Country right now is taking kind of a sad boy kind of turn that I really don't like. It's turned into like sad boy kind of down, depressing vibe music, which is the exact opposite of what I wanted from country. Like I want country to be like, wholesome, upbeat, fun music for, normal, well-adjusted people who are happily married and don't have daddy issues or bipolar disorder. And unfortunately, because of Zach Bryan, Hank Williams, I hate that shit. I hate all that like old school country that rock fans like. I hate that stuff. I'm just not into it. I'm really, really, really disappointed with the current state of country. It's become like dark, sad, edgy music. Not all of it, obviously, but I just can't get into any of the stuff that, like, Zach Bryan to me is the template for what's going on in country right now, and I'm just not with it. Just not with it at all. I want more, what's the guy, Chris Lane? Is that his name? This is what I want more of. This guy. Look at this fucking Chad. Girl, I know you I hate how good looking this guy is. I hate it. Look at that goddamn Chad jaw. His arms just busting out of that fucking shirt. This guy definitely fucks. Imagine how much pipe this motherfucker has laid. God. Angry. So yeah, that's my take. Morgan Wallen, though, is still holding it down. Morgan Wallen is like just absolutely fucking god tier. That guy's going to stick around for a very, very, very long time. Morgan Wallen, definitely holding it down for pop country still. Hopefully the sad boy moment that country's in comes to an end soon, because I'm not into it. Ooh, okay, at least I'm taller than Chris Lane. That makes me feel a little bit better. Okay, I think I have one more from Tyree Hoffman. Saint Anger is Metallica's best and most underrated album. Now, this is an interesting one. I feel like this has become the mainstream opinion these days. And it's a great example of what I like to call the 10-year rule, which is that anything that's currently hated within 10 years, give or take a bit, becomes loved. Now, in the case of Saint Anger, it took a little bit longer than 10 years because that album came out 20 years ago. But you'll hear a lot of people say this. And you remember, everybody hated metalcore when it came out. OG metalcore like Killswitch and, stuff like that. They all called it gay. Now everyone loves it. Nickelback and Creed most recently became cool again. Now everyone loves Nickelback and Creed. And I feel like Saint Anger is just another example of that. That hot take was literally written for clicks. The dude doesn't even think that. Well, that might be true. That might be true, but I think a lot of people genuinely do like Saint Anger. I think it's now become cool to like Saint Anger. I think it's fucking awful. I think it's unlistenable, and not just because of the snare sound. I mean, it's actually horrible. Have you listened to that song recently? Like, it's actually awful. And not just the snare. The snare is definitely unbearable. But like, listen to this song. Like here. This is way worse than the snare. Oof. Sounds like the drum you give to an 8-year-old. Yeah, I mean, it's unlistenable. So I cannot agree with that one. I'm sorry, Tyree Hoffman. That is a bridge too far. I can't do it. All right, my friends, that does it for this edition of Finn Mckenty Reacts to Your Hot Takes. I hope tomorrow Reddit hates you as much as they hate me. Join me next time for another edition of this amazing segment. I meant to be jerking off to hentai, Mom.